You're listening to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans.
We just got to go out and express ourselves.
Fonte with a scooping header.
We just got to get the job done. I'm here to get the job done.
It's infield to Mane, 25 yards out. Lovely ball for Pella. Onside, 1-0. The fast shot. Oh my word.
He ran around a bit like Bambi on ice. It was very, very embarrassing to watch.
And now, your host, Matt Markstone. Hello and welcome to another episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a podcast dedicated to the Southampton Football Club and all of the SFC fans. My name is Matt Markstone. I'm the host of the show. No matter where you are, no matter how you may be listening, thank you for making the show part of your day. I hope that you enjoy it. On this episode of the show, I'm joined by Amie Barnett. And while we both miss watching Saints this past weekend due to the international break, some of us maybe not actually because of just the way things have been going. Maybe it was a much needed break, but it's one weekend. We can get through one weekend without Premier League football. Amie, however, is currently out injured, playing for Southampton Women's Football Club. And so she is looking at potentially 6 weeks of no football. We talk a little bit about what that's like for her. But more so than that, we talk about her time at the club, her 10 years there, what the club has looked like from the time that she joined to the coming and going of Fran Alonso, and the current kind of successes of the club and what it's all like, what it's like to be a part of that. We talk about her being a fan of Saints growing up, and all kinds of other stuff. You have the normal Southampton Women's Football Club episode, interruptions by the dog, and other things. I don't know why it tends to happen, but you will hear some things there. So hopefully I did a good job of kind of cleaning it up. But you will hear the dog from time to time. I think there's even a break in the middle because I had to take him out to use the restroom because he decided to get into the trash and eat foil and then didn't have any water. And then it was a mess. Yeah. So anyway, Amie was kind enough to put up with all that, take time out of her day from doing all of the things that she had planned to talk with me. She was fantastic. So I hope that you enjoy it. Once again, this is Amie Barnett. She is a defender for the Southampton Women's Football Club. And if you want to follow her on Twitter, it is at Amie_Barnett. The links are in the show notes. So go and check them out. Give Southampton Women's Football Club a follow if you don't already. It is a wonderful organization, highly competitive, highly successful team with multiple levels now, from U16 to the reserve side to the senior squad. And so if you are interested in getting involved, get in contact. But for now, here's my conversation with Amie Barnett. I hope that you enjoy it, and I'll talk to you on the other side. We'd like to welcome to the Southampton Delivery Podcast, a defender for the Southampton Women's Football Club. She's on Twitter at Amie_Barnett. Amie, thank you for joining the podcast. Welcome. And we've been talking for now a couple of minutes beforehand, and I'm enjoying this. So I hope you are as well. And I'm excited to talk to you about some stuff on the record and on the show.
Yeah, absolutely. Thank you very much for inviting me on the show. I've been really excited to speak to you, actually. So, yeah, thank you very much. All
right. And I know it's the middle of the day on Saturday for you, so I appreciate you taking some time to do this. I know you got a busy schedule despite the unfortunate injury, and we'll get to that.
Yeah, unfortunately, like you say, I've got an injury, but yeah, I've got a few things planned today. But it's been, like you say, lovely for you to have me on the show. So yeah, great to make time for you.
Appreciate it. If we could, let's just start with kind of where you grew up and have you always been in the Southampton area? Obviously you're living in somewhere around Southampton now, playing for the women's team, and having life go on. But have you always been in that area, or did you move down there at some point?
Yeah, I've always been in Southampton. So I was born in Southampton, raised in Southampton, haven't moved anywhere else. So I've always been here. I didn't go to uni or anything like that. So yeah, Southampton's always been my hometown.
And I mean, do you like that? Do you enjoy living there? I mean, what are some of the things that I guess you remember about Southampton that maybe somebody who's only been there for university or only come there since university might not kind of pick up on?
So, I mean, I've, like you say, I've always lived here. So, obviously it does get a little bit boring at times, I'd imagine, going out and about in Southampton. But like you say, it's quite nice because we live by the sea and things. So, yeah, I mean, it's a nice place to live. There are worse places you could live, to be fair.
Yeah. So what do you do when you live in Southampton and you have the night off and you can do this? Where would you go out in the town? Do you make the trip to London, or do you stay in Southampton, or how does that work?
So I tend to stay, to be honest, where I live now. I go out to a place called Winchester, which is quite nice because there's a few bars and sort of clubs to go in the evening. So I go there. I don't really go to London, to be honest. We've got quite a few nice local areas that we can go to. So yeah, it would either be Winchester that I go to, or go out in Southampton town for an evening.
Yeah, my one trip to Southampton was was during the women's match against Wales, the England women's match, and so we took the train in, we walked past the giant IKEA to rent a car, we drove to Stonehenge, we came back. I may or may not have hit a curb. Because it's on the wrong side or I was on the wrong. I mean, I wasn't on the wrong side of the road, but I was driving the opposite side of the road, and then we went to the stadium, and then we walked from the stadium to the train station, and we're back to London. And so like that's what I've seen of Southampton. So it's always kind of interesting to hear some of the other things that are going on there. But I guess when you were growing up and in the area, like obviously you play football now, but was football important in your home as a kid?
Oh, absolutely. Football was very important in our household. I kind of didn't really have a choice. I had to get into football because it took over our weekends, because I have an older brother and he played every Sunday. So we used to go and watch him. Or then obviously when I started to get into football, that's when obviously it took over our weekends on Saturdays and Sundays. But it was quite nice because as a family, it was something we all had in common. We're all quite a sporty family anyway. I think my mum was quite disappointed that I didn't actually go into netball because she played at quite a high level of netball when she was younger. So when I actually wanted to go into football, I think she had a little bit of slight disappointment there. But like you say, she enjoys watching football anyway, and we all do as a family. So it was something, like you say, nice to have in common and something we could all do together.
Ignorant American question.
Yep.
What is netball?
Oh, you didn't know what netball is? It's like handball. Is it handball in America, possibly?
So I have to admit, like I've pretended to kind of know what it is, but I didn't bother to look it up in the past on Twitter, so I might be outed at this point.
It's basically like basketball, but
okay.
You can't move with the ball, and you can bounce it. Oh, okay, I guess you can bounce it in basketball, but you can't move with the ball.
So basically. You can't dribble it. You have to like.
No, yeah,
okay.
You can't dribble it. You just have to, land and then place your pass, but stay in the same position.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, that sounds interesting and semi-weird. But then, so there's also a sport. It's called Ultimate Frisbee. I don't know if you know what that is. That might be like a really American thing, I think.
I've heard of it. But I haven't seen it.
Because you play on like a football field, an American football field. And so you can run like all of this distance, but you can't run with the Frisbee. Like you get like 1 or 2 steps afterwards to like stop yourself.
Yeah.
But if the Frisbee hits the ground, then it's a turnover and the other team gets to go. But you get these guys, like when I was in college, university, you would get these hippie looking dudes that basically like, were only in class under the influence of marijuana. But then you would get them out on the Ultimate Frisbee field, and they would be like amazing. They could do all this stuff, and it's like, man, like I don't know how you do that with a Frisbee, and it's crazy because I don't know, they're nuts, but like I don't know.
I can imagine that being quite painful sport if you don't see that Frisbee coming and that hits you. I can imagine it being quite dangerous.
Yeah, I've played it a couple times, and I haven't ever really enjoyed playing it. So I don't ever want to play it again, to be honest.
I don't think I'll take it. I'd be useless. Hand-eye coordination, not my sport.
Oh, yeah. It sounds like netball was a good call then.
Wow. I probably didn't get my netball skills from my mum. Let's put it that way.
That's all right. So did you watch netball or play netball at all as a kid, or was it strictly football?
No, I did. I was I was quite sporty, so I did play netball at primary school when I was younger, and surprisingly, I wasn't too bad. But I wasn't as good as my mum. But I did trampolining as well. I did a lot of trampoline competitions for 5 years. And I was just one of those kids that just enjoyed every sport really. I was quite a tomboy when I was younger.
That seems to be a pretty common kind of theme. Like some of the other teammates that I've talked to, they started playing with boys originally, and it wasn't until they got to be fairly older that they were able to actually switch over to a women's team. Was that similar to you, or were you always able to play on a women's team when you were playing football?
Yeah. It was absolutely the same at primary school. It was playing with the boys, and to be honest, I quite enjoyed it because the amount of stick I've had growing up playing football as a girl, especially in primary school and secondary school, with boys saying girls can't play football. It was always a sport I really wanted to get into to prove them wrong. Really, that's my sort of attitude.
Yeah.
That is similar to probably the other girls that you've spoken to. Is that we did have to play with the boys. But it's amazing now with, England women's team highlighting football and getting more women into sport. It's brilliant. Now any girl growing up at a young age, they've definitely got more opportunities to play with the same sex instead of having to get abuse from the boys.
Yeah, I do think it is really a good thing that the England women's team is able to do that and promote and encourage women of all ages to be able to play football. And I think that there's been a lot of work that's gone into that, and I hope that it continues to kind of benefit and give encouragement to girls of all ages, I guess, all over, not just in England, but kind of all over the world.
Yeah, absolutely. And like you say, if I had a choice of whether to grow up when I did or now, it would be now, because of the excellent opportunities the girls have with football and in any sport now. It's just brilliant. And like you say, there's a lot of opportunities and options for them to get into, professional level as well.
Yeah, I mean, not exactly what we're going to talk about today, but Women's World Cup is this summer, right? 2019,
yeah.
So coming. English chances, what do you think?
I think we've got a good chance. I mean, like you say, I think it was the last time we came third. So I think we've got a brilliant chance. The women's team has got a lot stronger, and especially with Phil Neville taking over the team. I think that's had a massive impact. And like you say, it's nice to see the young girls coming up and stepping up. And yeah, I think we've got a great chance to potentially win it. Better than the men's team. Yeah. I mean, I know we did all right this year, but like you say, the women's team, the England women's team, seems to do a lot better than the men normally.
Yeah, I know that feeling because we have one team that won the World Cup and then one team that didn't qualify. But maybe we won't talk about all of the differences that have gone on between our federation is a disaster currently, but it's okay. So I mean, was the fact that your brother played football, was that kind of what got you to start playing, or how did you kind of become interested in playing rather than just kind of going to your brother's matches and watching?
Yeah, I think that's pretty much how it happened. So every Sunday I was dragged along at that point to watch my brother play football in whatever the weather was. And my dad used to kick a ball with me on the sideline. And like you say, football was always on in the house, and that my brother and dad were obsessed with football. So I kind of got into it that way. And that's when I started at primary school, like you say, playing with the boys, and then gradually starting with a local team, and then progressing with my football from there, really.
With it being such a big deal in your house in terms of playing and stuff like that, was there a team, or is your family a Southampton supporting team? I mean, and I ask that, and I'm also somewhat reluctant, because if you say no and you live in the area, then there are only a few other teams that you could possibly support, and then I would be upset. Yeah,
that could be really awkward. Well, it's definitely not Pompey, so we don't have to worry about that. No, we're definitely, all of us are massive Southampton fans. We have been, always been Saints fans. So one of my first ever memories is walking to the Old Dale on a Saturday, picking my brother up. He used to go with my cousin. And then me and my mum used to walk to the Old Dale and pick him up. And then when I was old enough, I then had a season ticket as well. but then unfortunately I had to start working weekends, so that had to end. But yeah, it's nice to support your local team. Maybe not at the moment, but yeah, but yeah, it's brilliant. And like you say, probably one of my favourite memories of being a Saints fan was the FA Cup semi-final and final. They were brilliant.
Yeah, it's even though obviously the final, we lost the final. It was I don't know. It was really nice to be able to be around. I was in a bar when it happened, and it was around a couple of other Saints fans that I didn't know before that. And now we all still kind of talk, and it's kind of cool. Like
the atmosphere was insane.
Yeah. I'm never going to forget that day. And this is stupid. It was like, that was like episode 9 of this show. Like was recorded that night. Yeah. Weird that I know that, and also probably awkward. I don't know. So like when, I mean, you start playing, your family's Southampton fans, but when you start playing, like, how do you go from playing where you were to being where you are now in terms of playing for Southampton Women's Football Club? Like what was the progression there, and how did you find the club? So
I after primary school, I then obviously moved on to secondary school, and became the captain of the girls football team there. And when I was about 13, I think it was at the time, there was some Saints girls and ladies, which is the rival club to us, my team now. They had some trials, and I went along there and got into the team. So that's where I kind of started playing at the weekends. I stayed one season with Saints girls and ladies, but I'm one of those players. I don't have an ego. I liked at that time to play football for fun. And at the time, that particular team, unfortunately, it just wasn't the right setup for me. So I then joined a local team, which for us here is Hedge End.
Okay.
And I played there. And you have to leave those sort of teams when you're 16 and go into women's football. And that's how I've then found Southampton Women's team. My brother's girlfriend at the time played, and she invited me along to one of the training sessions. And that's when I joined Southampton Women at the age of 16. All
right. And you've been there ever since?
Yeah, I've been there 10 years.
Right,
so I don't know if that makes me a veteran now. I'm not sure, but yeah, 10 years, scary, really.
Well, I think we have some questions about your time at the club and stuff like that. And so we'll get to those. We mentioned at the top of the show that you are a defender. I like defending, and I think we talked off the record about a couple of the reasons that maybe we enjoy it. But have you always been a defender, or did you play elsewhere on the pitch at any point previously?
Well, when I went for the Saints girls and ladies trials, I was actually, when I was at primary school and moved into secondary school, I was actually played up front, which if some of the girls heard on the team now that I used to play up front, I think they'd be very surprised. So that's where I started. And then because the trials, there were so many girls there, they were all, as you can imagine, everyone wanted to be a striker, everyone wanted to play in centre midfield, and there wasn't many defenders. So I don't know how it happened, but I put myself in the defence group. Thought I'd have more of a chance there, and that's where it ended up. And that's where I've then not moved. I've always stayed in the defensive line since that trial.
All right. And I mean, you enjoy it? You enjoy playing defense then?
Oh, I love it. I couldn't play in any other position. It's just I'm not, and I'll be the first to admit, not the most skillful player at all. But I just absolutely love defending. I don't think there's anything better as a defender than a last-ditch slide tackle. It's just such a buzz. So that is what I enjoy most from defending. It's just, like you say, I couldn't see myself playing anywhere else at all.
I enjoy it, and oftentimes people try to encourage, like, hey, go forward, and no, it's just not for me.
Oh no, like you say, halfway line is as far as I will go. Other than that, I feel like people think I need to be skillful, and that is not me.
We have a couple of of dogs in our neighborhood, and they have like the electric kind of shock collar that and when they reach the end of their yard, they won't move. And sometimes that's what I feel like, because I can run full speed, and then like you hit the halfway line, and it's like I will do everything I can in my power to stop and not cross that line. Like it's like I am scared to go on the other side, which is not a great thing to do, especially if you get pushed out to left back and you're supposed to overlap, and it just doesn't work.
Do overlapping runs, yeah, exactly. Like you say, it gets very nerve-wracking when you've got to get anywhere past that halfway line. That's for sure.
Yeah, I've started to gravitate when we start picking teams for when we like play scrimmages and stuff. Like find the winger who wants to like be as high up the pitch as possible, so that I don't have to overlap. Like that's who I want on my team. I don't want the guy
absolutely
who tucks inside and wants me to overlap him. Nah, like it's not it.
I just think as well, at the end of the day, you've got players that are best suited for those positions. Pass them the ball, nice simple pass from defence, and then they can take on the players, and that's what they're good at. So I think it's the best thing for the team. Just pass the ball.
yeah. Well, let them go be creative.
Exactly.
We'll hold the canvas for you.
Absolutely, we'll hold the fort at the back.
That's right. So you play central defense mostly then, and not either of the fullback positions?
I did a few seasons back play right back, but as I've mentioned, it became pretty noticeable that right back's probably not my position. I'm one of those players that will just get stuck in, so centre back's just perfect for me with regards to defending, clearing the ball with my head, that sort of thing. That's just what I do. So yeah, centre back's just perfect for me, really.
All right. Well, I may message you with questions because I need to improve massively. So
you'll probably teach me.
No. If you've ever, no, I can promise you. Having watched some of your matches on the highlights and stuff, you know what you're doing. I just run around a lot. But what do you do outside of football? What do you do for a living? How do you what does your kind of week look like in terms of when you're not training, and especially now, I guess, since you're injured?
Yeah. So for my day job, I have a HR and recruitment background. So that's what I do for a job. My company's based in, unfortunately, Portsmouth. Yeah. So I do have to travel. I know, horrible travel there every day. And then outside of work, I spend a lot of time, to be honest, with my fiance, my family and friends. We all very close. And also, I look after my nan a lot because she's got Alzheimer's. Okay. So I spend a lot, when I'm not training, I spend a lot of time at the care home with her. Because again, like you say, we're a very close family. So I help out as much as I can, really. And wedding planning as well. Ooh. And fitting that in as well at the moment.
Well, congratulations.
Thank you very much.
Are you excited, or is it still too far away for you to be excited and nervous yet?
I'm very excited. I'm luckily not a bridezilla, so I'm not too stressed at the moment. But it does seem to be coming around very quickly. But more excitement more than nerves.
Good, nice. Did you ever see that show, Bridezillas?
No, I haven't seen that. I watched Say Yes to the Dress. I don't know if you've heard of that. It's very big in America.
Yeah, my daughter enjoys it very much.
I love it.
That's sometimes she's like, well, it hasn't been as much recently, but in years past she would want to watch it, and then I would say sure, and then I would just fall asleep. And it was great. It was a great Sunday afternoon because I wake up and it'd be like 3 hours later and be like, oh my gosh, like we have homework and stuff, so we don't do that anymore as much. But yeah. But Bridezillas was this show just about Bridezillas, and it was crazy. And they filmed one of the episodes here where I live, and when I don't know, like seeing, like kind of having an idea, like this town I live in has 130,000 people, but it's still kind of small, and we know a lot of people.
Yeah.
Guess who just came through the door, by the way? We were talking
about
the dog.
This. Please say it's the dog.
It is the dog.
Yes! It's the famous dog.
I don't even know how he got in here.
It's because he knew you were talking to me, and I've asked for him to attend.
That would be the first time he's ever listened, so...
I'm a dog whisperer, apparently.
Jesus. But kind of like just seeing that the person that they chose to kind of do the show, it's just like, oh man, like you really did you have to dig for that, or did they come find you? Like, I don't know. So I'm glad that you are not that way, and don't watch the show because it's horrible.
Oh yeah, absolutely not. No, I wouldn't, but not a diva, surprisingly.
So, I mean, with the job and having the travel to Portsmouth, how long does it take you to get there every day and back? Is it like a half hour or so each way, or what is that travel like to work? I'm curious, just geographically. Yeah,
I mean, with regards to where I've moved now, it's probably about 20 minutes away from Portsmouth. That's where I'm based. So it doesn't take too long in the morning, luckily. But, it's just the thought of going into Portsmouth, isn't it?
Yeah. All right. What about match day? What does that look like? Do you have a routine, or are you kind of just like a go with the flow kind of person, or what does your match day kind of routine look like in terms of getting ready for the game, and whether you're playing or you're going to be on the bench, or I guess not now that you're injured, because now we talked earlier, it's kind of just, you're going to go, but it's more of like you're going out to watch a game versus being mentally prepared to play. But what does your day look like when you're going to play in the match?
Well, to be honest, my match day routine starts on a Saturday, and right. Surprisingly, I still have friends. Surprisingly, because obviously I get invited out on a Saturday night, but for me, I give up my drink through the season, so I don't drink on Saturday nights. I'm in bed by 10:30. I watch match of the day if I can. If I don't fall asleep, if not, I'll watch it in the morning on the Sunday. And then when I get up in the morning, the same routine. I have my porridge. And then I have my pasta at 11 o'clock. And then we get to the game about an hour and a half before the game, where we just sort of chill with the girls and, go through the tactics and do a really long warm up and things to prepare ourselves. So, but it's the same every weekend. I'm like very predictable Saturdays and Sundays for me.
That is the most encouraging thing I've ever heard, is that there are other people similar to me that will take things seriously. And I think it's a sign that you guys, I think it's a sign that a lot of you are dedicated to the team, because it seems like the more people I ask that are involved with the team, the more you are all kind of focused on the match. And it's not a Sunday league, where guys are going out and drinking beforehand and then showing up and putting in horrible challenges on each other. It's that you all seem to take it very seriously, and you prepare for it. And it's nice to hear. And I think it's been reflected in the results and the success of the team over the past few seasons.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I say, we're all very committed, our team. All the girls we've all got the same vision. We all want to work hard on that Sunday and make sure we get the win. We've all got the same goal at the end of the day to hopefully this year win the league. So I know everyone outside of football is putting in what they can just to ensure that we get the results on the Sunday. So yeah, we're very lucky with the team we have.
I hate this dog.
I love the dog. I mean, I can't hear him. Is it a him or a her?
It's a him.
Him. I can't hear him, but I mean, I love him.
All right. Yeah. I mean, so we talked. You've been at the club for 10 years or so, and when we talked about kind of how you got there. But the goal for the club, for everybody there, is win the league this season. Because one of the questions I've had for people in the past was, you went through 2 successive promotions, you progressed pretty deep in the cup both seasons, and then last year, like I don't know how I would deal with like the disappointment of knowing that you only lost not even a handful of games, but you didn't get the promotion because only one team gets promoted. I mean, that disappointment, there's only kind of like a couple of reactions. Either you can kind of completely shut down and say, we got to go through this entire season again in hopes of being promoted. And can you get yourself up to do that? Or like you look at it and say like, well, next year's our turn and we're going to do it. And it sounds like this is your year. And this is kind of what everybody said last year when it kind of ended the way it did. Now you're all kind of focus on. Is that am I right in kind of drawing that conclusion from you and from the other girls that I've talked to?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, last season it was bittersweet. I mean, I know that we came second and we narrowly missed promotion, but really that was our first league. First time playing in that league. So we didn't know where we were going to come in that league, where we were going to be mid-league, where we were going to be near the bottom. We knew we were a really good team, but you don't know who you're up against. It was all new. So to finish second in a league like that was a fantastic achievement. And like I say, although it was disappointing, it really just gave us the drive for this season to know that we can do it. And we beat all of those teams in that league last season, so there was no reason why this year couldn't be our year. And I'm still really confident, and I know the other girls and the coaches are, that we will get that promotion this year, and that's what we're all aiming for, and I know that's what we're all putting the work in for.
Is there anything in the club, anything that you can kind of point to and say, like, this is the reason that we've been able to be as successful as we have been? Is there something that kind of sets you guys apart from some of the other teams?
To be honest, as a team, we're very lucky with the coaches that we have. Simon puts in a lot of work behind the scenes, and I know that we all really appreciate it, and he's as dedicated as we are to the squad. And like you say, we've got Dan as well as first team coach, who's new. He's settled in really well, and I think, and like again, with even going into the reserve management as well with Lee and Dave, everyone's so supportive of training, and everyone puts in the time and the effort that I think that really helps us be the club that we are. And again, as mentioned before, we're really lucky with the girls that we have. We're all a great bunch of girls. Everyone gets on really well, and I think that does make a massive difference, with how we play on a Sunday when you work as a team. And you've got, managers behind you that believe in you. I think it makes a massive difference. And like you say, I feel really lucky to be part of a club, that's got that sort of a view.
Yeah. Can I have you hold on a second? I need to take the dog out.
Absolutely. That's fine.
Because one of the things he enjoys doing is peeing on the carpet when we don't do that.
That's fine. Yeah, no worries.
I'm back.
Hey.
Sorry.
That's all right.
It's only, no joke, it only happens when I'm talking to one of the members of the team. He doesn't, as often, make appearances.
I feel like we've got a new mascot. I feel like this could be, we have to send over a Southampton Women shirt to you, and we'll put it on the dog.
I mean, if you have to. If you send me a scarf, I'll hang him from it, or with it.
Absolutely. Fine. I'm going to speak to Amanda and get that sorted. The secretary.
I'll tie it nice and tight, big bow. It'd be great. Never mind that it's 75 degrees most of the year here. So
yeah, exactly. Poor dog. He's sweating.
Yeah. All right. So I mean, we've talked kind of about the team and about you kind of getting there and the team goals and stuff for the season. But I mean, when you go into a season, you've been there now quite a while. Do you set personal goals for yourself in terms of just kind of things you want to achieve that season in terms of like your personal career, or as a defender, like personal stats? I mean, you probably don't count the tackles you make, throughout a match, like the strikers and stuff. I'll count their goals or their crosses or their, whatever it is. So how does that work for you? Or do you not do that? You just focus on keeping clean sheets and helping the defense out? Or what is it that I guess you kind of set out to improve yourself?
Yeah, I mean, I have a couple of goals really that I've set for the season, and they tend to be the same every season. Obviously, as a defender, it's keeping as many clean sheets as you can, because that shows that as a defence you've done a great job. But also, especially as we're going up the leagues and back-to-back promotions, the competition for places now is really hard and difficult. So another goal of mine would be to get as many starting places in the first team as many times as I can. So to be honest, I'm not one of the most confident players there is. So I'm really grateful when I see my name on the starting lineup. It's a big achievement for me, because like you say, there's so many talented girls that I play with. And there's a lot of new young defenders that have come in that have stepped up and are amazing. So it's, for me, keeping my place as much as I can And like you say, working hard in training to ensure that I'm in that starting lineup on the Sunday. That's what my personal goal is.
All right. You've been at the club for as long as you have. Do you foresee yourself staying there for the future? Is that kind of where you want to be, or do you see yourself moving on at some point and kind of going elsewhere?
I mean, I'm 26 now. Like I say, I've been at the club since I was 16, and I love the club. So I can honestly say I would never move to another club now. I will see out football with Southampton Women because I've enjoyed it for all these years, and I wouldn't want to be playing for another club. And I really want to see where Southampton Women's goes. I think it can go. I mean, when Fran Alonso came into the club, what he said, which we all laughed at the time, was, "I'm going to get this team to the Women's Super League." And we all at the time thought, well, he's crazy. But, with those back-to-back promotions and playing in the National Women's League now, we are, going up the leagues, and the dream is actually looking to become, potentially, believable, and it could happen. So yeah, I mean, I'm happy here, always have been, and I can't see myself going anywhere else at all.
I mean, can we talk about Fran a little bit, because when he comes in, and having had kind of the pedigree that he had, he comes in and says that. When do you start to believe it? When do you start to realize, because I imagine that at some point, maybe you're there and everybody's kind of having, I don't want to say like a good time, like you're not enjoying it now, but like maybe the mentality is a little bit different. But when did that change, and when did that become kind of a reality? And how did he get you guys to kind of buy into the idea that you're going to work this hard because we're going to do this?
Well, I knew it was going to be brilliant when I was with Southampton Women, but the season Fran joined, he came along to a training session. There was 5 of us there training. That's how, low the numbers were. And, Fran took the team, and within that season, we were bottom of the league, I think, at that time. And I started believing when, he was putting the time and effort into us. And, I think it got to the point where we were actually winning, shockingly, a couple of games. And I thought at the time, God, he's really good. He knows it. He knows his stuff. He knows what he's doing. And then obviously the main season, the start of the new season, obviously with the stature that he had in the game, and he attracted quality players, and he brought more publicity to the club. And that's when he used to come out with some crazy ideas. But then, like you say, when you see yourself winning games and having a 100% record, and I learned a lot from him. The belief started to come into the players, and we realised that it could be a really special club, and we could go far. And I think, like you say, Simon's done a fantastic job as well, continuing that after Fran unfortunately had to leave. But the club has changed since Fran came in, and I'm really grateful to him for doing that and sticking with us at the time. It was so difficult.
Yeah, I mean, to go from a club that had 5 players training to a club that is, I know some of the girls have come back from America, even, and other places all over the world, and from Australia and everywhere else, and to people want to play there, and people want to watch, and people want to be a part of it, and it's kind of cool to kind of see. And obviously I've only kind of been around for the past 2 years or so, but
yeah,
it's noticeable. Even now to see the progression and talk to you who's been there, and has been through kind of the rough times, and to exchange emails with Amanda and things like that about, just how the mentality of the club is now, and to talk to Lee and all that stuff. It's really great. I think it's awesome that it's going this well. And I was pretty upset at certain points last year with some of the things that happened that were outside your control, obviously. But you move on and you keep going, and it's nice to see that you, as a collective unit, have been able to progress through that. And I think it's awesome. So yeah. So thank you for doing that, I guess.
Yeah, no problem.
One of the questions I'd like to ask to the players is, like, at this level, because you all have lives, because you sacrifice Saturday nights and your Sundays and you train twice a week and you have all these. I was like, what is the hardest thing about playing at the level that you are playing, where it is competitive and you have to do those things, but it's also not, it's not a full-time thing. What for you, what's the hardest thing about playing at this level?
Well, obviously, like you say, it's a massive commitment. And like you say, before you join the team, you've got to be aware that, like you say, it's training twice a week and the games on Sunday, it's the travelling as well. Because like you say, we travel around the south. The journeys can be 2 hours, or like you say, last season Plymouth can be 3 hours long, so it can take up your whole weekend. So I'd say the hardest thing about playing at this level is, the time it takes up. But I wouldn't be doing it if I didn't enjoy it. And like you say, I enjoy it because it's a social as well. I get on really well with all the girls there. So they make it easy to, to be able to be committed to training. And like you say, we're just very, very lucky as a team that we all get on so well and, make it easy for one another, really.
All right. Well, I mean, is there anything in there that we didn't cover? We have quite a few questions. I like to ask some of them. We may not get through all of them, but we have quite a few questions some from teammates, some from fans. So we'll roll through them if that's okay.
Yeah, of course. Yeah, that's no problem.
All right. Kind of an embarrassing one, but I know how this feels. It says, one, I know it must be really tough, but how do you possibly cope with getting nutmegged at least once a training session by Pinner?
Who is that? If that's from Becky Harris or it could be from Pinner, honestly, I have not learned to not, I know it's going to sound really weird, but to close your legs training. But I know it doesn't sound great, but when Pinner's around, because she nutmegs me every training session. And sometimes I don't even know it. She's just so good at it. I might get her to teach me, actually, but I think I make it a bit more obvious. She's very subtle, very good. I have to applaud her for it. It's a skill that she's mastered, and it's brilliant. But I'm the victim. Like,
if you were going to take someone out in public and just have them nutmeg people in public, just casually, yeah, because I've seen videos of like Kevin De Bruyne being out in public, and him and Kyle Walker just go out and they're doing this to people as they walk by, and they laugh. They did it when they were out here for their summer trip one time. They were like down at the beach and just pushing the ball through people's legs as they were walking on the pier and stuff like that, and it was hilarious. Would you take Emma? Would Pinner be the one?
Oh yeah, absolutely. If I had to choose someone, it'd be Pinner. Always. She's just so good at it. Honestly, it is amazing how she does it without me noticing. Or maybe it's just because I'm very ditzy and I don't notice. That could potentially be the other reason. And that's why she picks on me.
Well, I guess as long as it doesn't happen during the games, then it doesn't matter, right?
Oh, yeah. I mean, I try not to let that happen during the game. I mean, my bill is 50p for a nutmeg. It's getting expensive training with Pinner. So, I need to learn.
I guess tell her to stay in her spot. Like, be on her side when you scrimmage, and tell her to stick to her position.
I might ask Simon actually to constantly put me on her team in training, just so that I can, save some money.
You have a wedding to pay for. Come on.
Yeah, I have a wedding to pay for. I can't really afford it paying for these nutmegs.
Yeah. Same sender. I'm not supposed to tell you who, but it says, what are the top 3 defending tips you would give a younger player? Like what were some insight after being a defender for so many years? What would you tell people who were coming up and playing defense that they should concentrate on, I guess?
I think probably it being aware. It's very easy in a game that you're dominating to maybe sometimes lose concentration. But as a defender, it's even when you don't have the ball, it's working hard off the ball, giving those options, giving those lines, and helping your teammates out still, even if we are, like you say, dominating the game. So that's probably one of the tips that I would give. And also, as a defender, the communication is key. So working well with your peers and also your goalkeeper, and getting that communication right. And always be on your toes as well. That's what I would always say, to be ready to make those runs and prepared for the tackles. Yeah.
You mentioned earlier you enjoy the last ditch tackle.
Oh yeah.
It is an exhilarating thing. When we play sometimes and the kids are around, they like nothing more than to see one of the teachers slide tackle another teacher. Like, they think it's hilarious.
Oh yeah.
And The only thing they enjoyed more was I had a girl who was in my class. She played they didn't play like a flatback four. They played like a sweeper stopper kind of thing. I don't know if you do that at all, or if that's a thing in England, or if that's just an American kind of adaptation of defense. But basically, her job was just clean up the mess. Like that was it. And I had run through. I was in the opposition half, which is part of the reason I don't do this anymore. And dribbling, and I thought I was going to score. Like I was in, and she came through and cleaned me out. And I landed kind of on my head, shoulder region. It wasn't a foul. It was totally clean. But the kids had a video of it. And so she was in my class. I had to see her the next day. And so I have this 16-year-old girl who just completely destroyed me. And it's one of those things that I see her around town now. She's graduated, and she goes, I'm sorry. I go, you don't have to apologize. Like that was a great tackle. I just wish it would have been on somebody else like that.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And the fact that there's video evidence of it as well, you're just never going to get away from that.
No.
But I bet she feels, like you said, I bet she feels great. Proud, one of her proud moments, I expect.
And it was one of those things that it became like, there's a pride thing there, right? Like, cause I'm supposed to be like the teacher, and there's this kind of weird, they give me way too much credit as a teacher, but she didn't. She was kind of like a little bit of a disrespectful kid, but we get along. And so I think that actually made us slightly closer, because I could go ask her now, like, hey, explain to me how you decide when to do that. And she goes, well, like, I didn't want you to score, and I was willing to foul you. And she got sent off quite a few times for us, but she's great. So,
she did what she had to do at the end of the day.
Yeah. She's not afraid. So VJ, who's obviously a big fan, he pointed out that I tagged the wrong Amie Barnett. And we talked about why that happened, and I won't go into it just because I don't want it on the record. But he says, here's a question: does she agree that defense and defenders are underrated? And he says, I'm asking as someone who played defense at school and had a poster of Fran Benali playing on a broken arm on my bedroom wall as a kid. So there's really only one right answer. But do you feel like defense and defenders get kind of overlooked and are underrated in terms of kind of like, I don't want to say publicity, but in terms of publicity and things like that?
Yeah, I mean, I do agree with VJ of regards to that. I think spectators of football and fans of football, everyone wants to watch players score goals and watch their skill, and that tends to be, like, say, from midfield and strikers. So I do feel like the defenders get overlooked, and if you ask a child who their sporting heroes are, they're saying players like Hazard, Ronaldo, Messi. They're not saying your centre backs or any, like a right back or a left back or anything like that. So I do feel defence do get overlooked, and if you watch highlights, you don't see defenders' clearance. You see the goals and the skillful parts. So yeah, I have to agree with BJ there that the defence do get overlooked as a position in general. That's what I think.
You're talking to somebody whose favorite player is James Milner, and because I just think he does all of the things that kind of go like under the radar. He just does everything well, And when I tell people, like, they're like, who do you like to watch? I'm like, James Milner, and they're like, you're weird. And I know he plays,
not the stereotypical player that you'd pick.
Right.
Right.
And I wish I had a really good reason for. I just I like the guy who just does his job. I don't know.
Yeah. Like you say, does the job, play things simple, and just gets on with the job really in hand, instead of taking on loads of players. So yeah, I'm a bit like that. Just play it simple,
Yeah.
Keep it very simple.
There was one tackle he made against PSG on Neymar a couple of weeks ago, and I was like, oh, that's a little bit. That was a very veteran, also very you're not going to try these tricks and things on me. Like I'll send a message right now. And I was like, I love that. Like, that's so good.
Yeah.
You don't have to be
Make
flashy.
it clear.
But anyway, question here for B-Dog says, how is she dealing with not being able to play at the moment due to injury?
I'm finding it incredibly frustrating. So I've been actually very lucky. In the past 10 years, I've not ever had a serious injury. I've had concussion and been out for a week and things like that. But obviously, again, we've got we're lucky as a club to have physios, and they've told me it's a meniscus injury, which is cartilage damage in my knee. So I'll be out for a maximum of 6 weeks. But that to me is just torture. I'm obviously going along to supporting the girls on the Sundays that they're playing, but I am finding it really difficult, and the struggle is obviously, as I mentioned earlier in the podcast, is that the competition is high for places this season. So I feel like I've worked really hard to get to where I have, and then now I'm back to the starting blocks again, having to work my way up and improve myself again once I can get fit. So yeah, it's a hard time at the moment, I have to admit. Yeah,
I'm sorry. Like, I know that last year you picked up player of the season. You've been improving, like, and it's got to be frustrating to not be able to play, to not be able to improve, to not be able to do that, and then also like to have that thought in your head, like I have to strengthen that area of my body and work to do that. And but it sounds like it sounds like you are the type of person that's gonna be able to do that, though. Like, you're not one of these people who's gonna go out and stay out till 2 or 3 a.m. on a Saturday and just show up to the game and be able to do that. You're if you were that person, like, this would be the kind of thing that could be detrimental to you. But with the kind of work ethic and stuff that you've displayed over the past couple of seasons, and even just what you've said to me over the past hour or so, like, it sounds like you're on the right track. So I hope you heal up soon, because it's
thank you. Thanks very much. Like you say, I've got the physio emailing me my exercise, and I think, like you say, my fiance is getting really annoyed with me because I keep saying, you should be feeling better now, and it's like, you just need to be patient. But it's hard when you want to get up and play, and you've got 6 weeks potentially ahead of you where you can't. So fingers crossed.
So I have to say, like, are you wearing the pink boots around the house then, or are they just?
Do you know how heartbreaking it is to buy those boots? I didn't even need a new pair of boots, Matt, to be honest, but I could not buy them because they're like little unicorns on your feet. They're just so pretty and pink and very me, as if you can't tell already. I'm very girly. So yeah, with regards to those boots, I'm going to just have to wear them around the house at the moment. They've not been worn yet. And like you say, it's typical. I buy them and then I'd get injured, but they'll be making a fresh appearance when I come back in November, potentially.
So I have to say, like, those boots, the first time I ever saw them, or even whatever, was one of your tweets when you said, I had, like, these magically fell in my basket, like I think it was like, I think there was like 10 minutes or so between, like, I think I should, like, I can't believe these are out, and then, like, oh, they magically fell in my basket, like, boom, done. But now I see them everywhere. Like, I've noticed a couple of the Wolves players were wearing them. I noticed because I was digging through their Twitter feed trying to find an image for something to do for a match day thing, and a lot of their players had them on, and I've seen them around everywhere. So you're a trendsetter. That's what I'm going to say.
They're just, wow, I know, that's the thing. And to be honest, I wouldn't really want to do it, but they match so well with the Man United's away kit. I couldn't do it because obviously I'm a Saints fan, but the colour coordination there would be just perfect.
I mean, anything's better than the Chelsea kit that they wore when they were at Southampton a couple of weeks ago.
Absolutely hideous.
That was
absolutely hideous.
Those socks are outrageous.
Awful.
And as a father of somebody who wears a lot of neon green, like my son loves neon green, even that was too much. Like the I don't know. I don't even know what color that is, whatever you call it, but it's not a natural color, and it shouldn't be around. Absolutely agree with you, 100%. Another question here from Tash. She says, not a question, but a shout out to your amazing and dedicated parents. So she wants to do that. And she also wants to know, we talked about your match day routine, but what's your highlight of all of your years playing at the club? Like, do you have whether it's a personal highlight or a team highlight, or what's one of the moments that stands out? Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple. I mean, playing for the club for years in the Southern Region Women's League, and then actually jumping up to the National Women's League, which is, one of the highest 4 tiers in the country. Mm-hmm. That was a massive achievement for me, and I'm glad I've got to experience playing in that league and hopefully go higher with Southampton Women's. But that's been a great experience playing at that level
getting the opportunity to play, lots of different teams at great facilities and things like that. So I'd say that's a massive highlight for me. And from a personal level, I think, in the last 10 years I've been at the club, I've been, again, fortunate enough to win Players Player six times.
Wow.
And I'm really, like say, honoured to be, selected as for Players Player, because for me that's the most important one there is, to, that the players and the teammates think highly of you. So yeah, that is a massive achievement for me for, the last 10 years at the club.
Awesome. Elliot James Hunt asks, one, will you ever score a goal? And I think I can answer that and say, unless you start doing the crossbar challenge from the halfway line, or maybe the outside of the center circle, maybe we can dip just a bit inside there. Maybe. He also asked who your favorite coach is, and I don't think we need to answer that, given you're too nice.
Yes, too nice.
And that third thing he asks is the most hated thing to do in training. But have you seriously never scored? Like, I'm genuinely asking now. Like,
wow, it's a sore subject, Matt. I mean,
okay.
No, it's not really. I just take the mick out of myself, to be honest. I've scored once. No. I do score in friendlies. But they don't count, obviously. So I've scored one goal in my whole 10-year career. It was a great goal, but I'm probably known more for scoring maybe own goals. And like you say, when we do tactics, Simon doesn't put me up for corners, and I completely agree with him. I don't blame him. They got Kelly, Warren and Tash to score with their head as centre-backs and right-backs up there. But that would be lovely. A goal at some point would be great, but like you say, unless it's a halfway line worldie, I can't really see it happening.
You and I have more in common than than we would realize.
Yeah.
What's the thing you dislike doing the most in training?
There's nothing really that I don't dislike. To be honest, it's all Simon and all the rest of the coaches vary it up as much as they can with the numbers that they have on at the training sessions. So there's nothing that I dread in a training session, I have to say, and that is honest. That is my honest opinion. There's nothing I think, oh God, don't want to do that again. So yeah, it might be just me as a person, but I'm quite happy with how everything is. So thanks for that, Elliot, for trying to catch me out.
Yeah. We can spam his Twitter with something else later on if we want to do that.
Yeah, let's do that.
We'll say I can't believe you said this about Portsmouth Football Club, and we'll use the hashtag, and then we'll just let him go.
Oh, absolutely, yeah, absolutely. He winds me up all the time, so if we could, that'd be great.
Robbie, who is at Saints in France, asks, how did Fran leaving the club affect the team and morale? Like, was there kind of a letdown at that point, or because of who came in and the momentum you guys had? Like, were you able just to kind of pick up and move on, or how did that kind of work?
Yeah, I mean, obviously it was a shock at the time that Fran said to us, and obviously he's a fantastic coach. So firstly, it was disappointment that we all felt, not in Fran, just the fact that he was leaving, and his reasons for leaving were completely understandable. So yeah, it was really difficult, and him as a coach, he was brilliant. I know for a fact he brought out my confidence, and he really helped me a lot with how I play now, and I've taken that forward. But again, Simon's taken on the team, and he's done a brilliant job, and he puts lots of hard work and dedication into it, and it proves in the results. We're still winning, and we're still going as far as we can. So yeah, Fran leaving was horrible, but he still keeps in contact with him as well, and he's still doing really well. So yeah, hard, but we're doing well as a club still.
All right, one more. So we talked about how long you've been at the club, which is one of the questions that I think it's Tia. Is it Hooper?
Oh yeah, she's my favorite. She's lovely.
Is she one of the? She's younger, right?
Yeah, so she's just come up from the under 16s. But I feel like I've taken her under my wing. Because I think back, when I was 16 and joined, it's scary when you step up and it's all older players.
Yeah.
So I'd like to think I've taken her under my wing, but I get on really well with her. She's lovely and like you say, a fantastic footballer. Like you say, it's nice to see the under 16 stepping up, and she's been playing with some of the first team games, and she doesn't look out of place at all. She's taking on players. She's tiny, so she's rolling players left, right, and centre, and making it look easy. So yeah, she's going to be fantastic, and as the years go on, she's brilliant.
All right. Well, she asks. She says, what's your best career moment? What's something that sticks out in your personal career?
My personal career. Oh. Again, as mentioned, like you say, winning player is a massive achievement for me. But I mean, I enjoy all of the games, even like you say, just keeping the clean sheets, and my best career moment is when I know I've hopefully played a great game and maybe got player of the match or something like that. Any of those sort of games are career highlights for me. So I don't have one specific one, but obviously winning the leagues as well helps as well.
Amie, I just want to say thank you for doing this. I know I've taken up a good portion of your afternoon, and I know you have stuff to do. And between wedding plans and rehab and spending time with your family, I appreciate it.
No, you're welcome. And if you don't mind, I just want to say a couple of thank yous, if possible. Obviously, first of all, thank you for having me on the show, but also to my sponsor, Doswell Projects, because they've put money behind me this season to be able to play. And I really appreciate it, because it can be, quite an expense, especially when you've moved out and you've got a wedding to pay for. So people like that, local companies that can support me, I'm really appreciative of their support. And also, like you say, all the fans and like VJ and people like that who support us on Twitter, and Robbie, we do really appreciate it, and yourself for making Southampton Women's Club as public as it can be, really. So thank you very much.
No, thank you. I haven't done hardly anything, so this has been great for me. It's a pleasure to be able to talk to you and the rest of the members of the team and all that stuff. All right, well, have a good day.
Yeah, you too. Bye, Matt.
Bye. And that does it for this episode of the Southampton Delivery Podcast. Thank you so much for joining us. I hope that you enjoy it. Special thanks this week goes out to my guest, Amie Barnett. You can follow her on Twitter at Amie_Barnett. She's on Instagram as well. The links to that are in the show notes. You should also follow the Southampton Women's Football Club. They are on Instagram and Twitter at SOTON Women's FC. The links to the website, the schedule, the email for the club secretary, if you are interested in either taking part in the team or possibly sponsoring the team. All those links are there. So get in contact with them. Don't hesitate. Amie, thank you once again for taking time away from your family and your wedding plans and your rehab and everything else to talk to me. I know it can be nerve-wracking sometimes, but I really do appreciate it. And like I said before, you did a great job, even if I didn't. So anyway, and I do have to say that although the dog upsets me from time to time, I would never actually harm it. So at some point in there, I said I might do something with the scarf. Frustration in the moment. It will never actually happen. So please don't think that I am being cruel to the dog. No, it's not true. Awkward, but we're moving on. You can follow the show on Twitter or Instagram. We're at SFCDELL_IVERY. We're also on Facebook at facebook.com/SFC Delivery. There's no underscore in the Facebook address. There are plenty of ways to listen to the show if you haven't subscribed already. You can do so on iTunes, Stitcher, Acast, Google Play, TuneIn Radio, or wherever else you listen. Our partner for this show is the Southampton page. You can follow them on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook for all of your Southampton news and needs. The logo is done by Matt Beeling of the We Are Southampton page on Instagram, and all music for this show comes courtesy of the Free Music Archive at freemusicarchive.org. The intro song is Epic Song by Boxcat Games. The end of show credits that you're listening to now is Aim is True by Poddington Bear. That does it for this episode of the show. I wish Amie and the rest of the Southampton Women's Football Club the best of luck as they move and progress through their season, and I will talk to everyone next week. But until then, Remember that together, we march on.